Welcome to the Fantastic Five Focal Points. My name is Will Strother, and I'm the President and CEO of Federal Employee Service Association, and we go by FESA. So again, welcome. We're going to take a few minutes and get to know what we know as the foundation of FESA. Each of you have read How to Do books, How to Be a Good Business Person, a Great Salesperson, an Administrator, a Leader. And there's good stuff in those books. In fact, I've never read a book or attended a seminar that I didn't get at least one thing from, one positive thing. But what we've done here at FESA is create a simplistic approach to the thick books, and they're called the Fantastic Five Focal Points. We believe you don't need 6, 7, or 8, and you don't need 2, 3, or 4. You need these 5. And again, it is the foundation that we stand on to help others. So let's take a closer look at each one of them. Be early. It's a state of mind. It's also a habit. Be an owner. We ask all FESA team members to own your position. Take ownership in your successes. Take ownership in your failures. Be a finisher. Of course, in sales, that's a little synonymous with be a closer, right? But let's say you're an administrator, you're an admin, you are someone that's not directly into sales. Well, that means finishing the project, being on time. The next one is be a good ambassador. This is by far and away my favorite one. Because when you're excited about the company you work with, the way that they do business, then you're naturally a good ambassador for that company. And if you ever find yourself not a good ambassador for a company, then it's probably time for you to move on, because you don't want to work somewhere that you're not excited about being. And the last one, be great. We're not asking for perfection, but we're asking for a little more than good or okay or average. Average attempts produce average results. So let's take a closer look at each one of these 5. First of all, be early. How many of you have heard about Lombardi time? I learned about it in the early 80s. And Coach Vince Lombardi was one of the greatest coaches that ever performed, that ever lived. And he had a rule that said whatever time you're supposed to be there 15 minutes early. So if it's 7 o'clock in the morning, be there at 6:45. Because even when things get strange, get something unexpected that hits you, you're probably still going to be there on time anyway. But if you try to be there exactly on time, you're going to be late too often. So 15 minutes early, it's called Lombardi time. Be prepared. This is another element of being early. What we're talking about is not only being on time, but being prepared. And so it's that early mentality. I did my homework. I've got my presentation. I'm completely prepared. And I'm here early. Early alone isn't good enough. You have to be prepared. And that includes projects also. Let's say you have a project that's due on March the 4th. Well, you need to start getting ready for that project and put that time schedule 2 or 3 days before March 4th, depending on how complicated the project is, maybe a week before. And have it finished then. And then you can edit and fine tune and you relax, so you're there early. You're finishing your projects early. Ernest Hemingway said something, and I paraphrase like this: all first drafts are crap. So think about that with your projects. Finish them early, and then you can fine tune them. You know, when you look at our sales force that's out in the field, we call them road warriors. They do a lot of traveling. And instead of Lombardi time, we have them find the location that they're going to do the service call. Find that location way before 15 minutes. We like them to find it an hour before. And that way, if GPS is off, if there's unexpected traffic, whatever the situation is, they're not going to be late. And then we actually have them knocking on that door if they're at the house 10 minutes early, so that we're setting the stage. This is who we are. This is the way we act. Whatever role you play with FESA, I want you to have that mentality. The next focal point is be an owner. This is probably the most, how can I say it, missed mark. People don't get this. People don't take ownership. You've heard of the phrase, are you a victor or a victim? What we're asking everyone in FESA to do is say that, no, I'm not a victim. I'm a victor. That's my attitude. Now, bad things can happen to anyone. Your house can be robbed, and yes, you are a victim when that happens. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the way you look at opportunity, the way you look at the necessity to produce. Do you blame it on the leads? Do you blame it on your boss? Do you blame it on the weather? Do you blame it on someone? That's what we want to erase. As an owner, we want you to look inward, not outward. So the buck does stop with you. That's your mentality. I'm a victor. I own my position. I own this situation. Once you get there, if you're not already there, it'll change your life for the better. Everything changes. It's the same world, but it looks completely different. Take ownership. The next one is be a finisher. I always like telling people this is probably my weakest area. I'm an entrepreneur. I have so many things going at one time. If I don't watch it, I won't finish them. And that's a bad thing, because if you don't finish what you start, then that's not good. That's not good. So if you start something, finish it. But let's say you started something, you realize, well, I don't want to do this. I don't want to write that novel, or I don't want to be a coach in Little League. I don't want to do it. It doesn't fit. I can support it in other ways. Well, if you cannot finish, then kill it. Get it off your back. Don't let it weight you down. If you want to write that novel and you're just not going to finish it, then get it off your back. Throw it in the trash can and tell yourself, that's over. I did finish it by killing it. So don't leave things dangling. Finish it or kill it. And let's talk about getting back on the horse. There's a lot of things that we do that there is no end to it. To give an example, eating healthy. Well, just because you ate healthy for a week, you didn't finish it, right? That next week you have to eat healthy, and the week after, and the week after. So if you find yourself falling off that horse, you're not eating healthy, you're not exercising, don't panic. Don't feel like a loser. Just get back on the horse. That is a form of finishing. When you run into those projects, those situations, that there is no end to it, you just keep getting back on the horse. Keep getting back on the horse. Back on the horse. That is a form of finishing. Be a good ambassador. Again, I mentioned it earlier. It's my favorite one. But I want you to understand some of the details of being a good ambassador. No, nothing and no one is perfect, but you're still all in. So we're talking about company and personal. Let's take your family, for example. I don't know of a family that doesn't have some problems internally. Little spiffs, little arguments, this, that. I wish you wouldn't have done that. I wish I wouldn't have done that. But when someone talks about your family, or someone asks you about your family, well, you're an ambassador. You're a good ambassador for that family. And you know your family's not perfect. You know you're not perfect. But you can still be a great ambassador. Well, that's the way we want you to be with FESA. Where if you're at a party and there's a lot of people there and you're getting to know people, they're getting to know you, and someone says, "What do you do?" Well, your eyes light up. Not because FESA's perfect, but because FESA is good. FESA is great. And you're a good ambassador, so you like talking about that. You know, what you will learn as time goes on is we're a service-first organization. Now, what that means is this. When we get a call from anyone in the United States, and they've got a Social Security question, a 401k question, a TSP question, a Medicare question, regardless of what the question is, then we're going to service that person without finding out if they're a paying customer. In other words, did they buy one of our products? Well, we don't care. There's someone in need here, and we're going to help them. So we're service first. Now, the reason we're service first is we believe in helping people. We believe in what goes around comes around. If you go out and help enough people, then you'll do fine. So a good ambassador is someone that gets that, understands that, and is excited to share it. Now, the third little arrow here is if you have a problem, go to the source directly. This is talking about FESA's not perfect. So let's say you have a problem with your boss. Then we're going to ask you to go straight to that boss. Don't take it sideways. Don't go to your colleagues, your peers, and definitely don't go to anyone below you. You always go up with a problem. You can go any direction with great news, with a positive statement. You can go down, sideways, up, and all involved. But if you have a problem, go straight to the source. And what you'll find is maybe it's a misunderstanding, or maybe we did something wrong. Let's correct it. The bottom line is, to be a good ambassador, don't let things simmer over here. Talk about it. Get it out. Go to the source. And the last focal point is be great. Someone once said that if you do the other four, you will be great. And I agree with that, but there's also another way to look at it. If you take be great first, then you'll be motivated to do the other four because they are great moves. But either way you look at it, being great, these 5 focal points, is what we want you to do. It is the foundation we stand on. We're not looking for perfection. Perfection is the enemy of great. We also want you to understand and recognize that sometimes just showing up is great. You're tired, you had a long day, and your son or daughter is playing in a Little League baseball, or maybe some of our northern friends, they're doing ice hockey, whatever it is, and you just show up. That's great. last arrow, don't let your past failures keep you from being great. I want to spend a few moments on this one because I've seen it time and time again. Your background, your resume, got you a position with FESA. But what got you here will not keep you here. It will not get you to the next level. It got you in the door. But now we're going to ask you to do those 5 focal points. We're going to ask you to be great. So I want you to not look backwards at past failures. Maybe you've never made a lot of money. Maybe you've never worked for a company that really cared about you. Maybe you've never worked for a company that is family first, that has a service first mentality with all of our customers. Paying customers or not paying customers. Whatever behind you doesn't matter at this point. You've got to believe. You've got to achieve. You have to be great. Remember though, the first arrow, perfection's the enemy of great. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. FESA isn't perfect. Your family isn't perfect. Let's just be great. So in summary of the Fantastic 5 focal points, when we started building FESA back in 2008, we didn't have these 5 fantastic focal points. Now I think we lived it, but we didn't have them written down. We didn't talk about it. Then somewhere along the line, that's what we did. And we realized that it is the foundation we stand on to help others. So FESA team members, I want you to understand. We want you to do these 5. We expect you to do these 5. And quite frankly, I know you will do these 5 because they're good for you. They're good for your family. They're good for the company. Thank you for being involved with these fantastic 5 focal points, and have a great day.